Okay, I think we're here. Becky, hi, how are you?
Hey, doing well. How
We're,
are
we're
you today?
I'm doing well. We're back. We're back on YouTube. We're slogging through another day of Genie testing. We've got people in the park doing all the great work, walking around and eating bad food and doing all this great testing for us. So, um,
Some of them get to eat good food.
that's true.
So,
Some of them do. Yeah, so we've have another great day of testing. Give the people at home an idea of what we're doing today and how it's going.
yeah. So, we have a lot going on today. You'll see me like looking down at my notes and my phone because we've got 4 people in Hollywood Studios today.
Wow.
So, they are doing 2 different head-to-head tests. We could talk a little bit about the setup for each one. First one, when we did our first Thursday test at Magic Kingdom of Genie touring plans head to head, people complained that we didn't rope drop, right? Oh, look, there we go. We've got some things from in the parks coming in too here.
Yeah, we've got some action.
So we decided to fix that. We took in your feedback. So our head-to-head at Hollywood Studios today was one touring plans tester. Chrissy was using touring plans, and she used early theme park entry. So that's a perk that resort guests get. They get to go in 30 minutes before the park officially opens. So she used that and only a touring plan. She didn't use Genie. She didn't use Genie Plus. She didn't use individual lightning lanes. She was just following our strategy and that early theme park entry, which was key. She was going head to head with Genie. And so we wanted to set it up as a battle of sort of strategy versus money. So the Genie side of that battle is pay your way to skip all the lines, right? So Yvonne is going to do that test for us today. She slept in, other than getting up to buy Genie. She didn't rope drop the park. She got to the park around 11 a.m. And she gets to buy all the individual lightning lanes. She gets to buy she bought Genie Plus. She gets to make as many of those reservations as possible. And she's trying to use her strategy to sort of compete with Chrissy and see if they can complete the same things in about the same amount of time. So that's battle number one. I think that one's going to turn out really interesting. We'll talk about sort of what's happening already. Then battle number two is Battle of the Genie plans. So if you tuned in on Thursday, you'll know that our Genie tester put in a list of preferences and Genie essentially ignored all of those preferences. So we're like, well, does Genie really use preferences? So we had one Genie tester go in and pick everything Star Wars. Obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, Hollywood Studios is the park for you. She selected all those attractions. She marked Star Wars as an interest. And then she's just following whatever Genie says to do for the day. That's Morgan. And Lynn Testa is in Hollywood Studios today as well. He chose to also do Genie with no interests at all, right? Don't give it any information, see what sort of day it plans for me. And so our goal there is to see sort of how different do their days end up, as well as learning a little bit more about Genie. How often does it change their plans? What is it suggesting? Is it trying to upsell them, etc.? So those are our tests for today.
Wow, that's a lot. There's a lot
It's
going
a
on.
lot.
Excellent. Let's go back here. We've got somebody in the park. I'm not sure who it is. I
Yeah.
think maybe it's Chrissy.
This has got to be Chrissy. So Chrissy is on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway right now. She's in a little bit of a dark part here. But this is her last real attraction that usually gets a lengthy wait of the day. She's already completed everything else. So not to spoiler alert anything. All she has left on her docket for the rest of the day is the Frozen Sing-Along, the Beauty and the Beast show, Muppet Vision, and Star Tours. And we've been getting actuals from Muppet Vision and Star Tours that are walk-on, essentially.
Right.
And so Chrissy waited for 44 minutes for Runaway Railway and is on now. So that's exciting that we get to share that out live.
There she is. Cool. If she can hear us, I don't know if she can hear us or not, but if she can, oh, she's just getting off. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Maybe she can chat with us then. And maybe turn her phone sideways so we can get the better view. There she goes. There we go.
There we go. She's listening to it.
Awesome.
Hi, Christy.
I have had the best day. Everyone should be jealous of my day.
She really has had the best day.
Dude, like down from like, I would hit the button. I hit the button for lunch and it was like, oh, come on in, girl, get your pizza. And just everything. I went into Walt Disney Presents and I, poked around at mostly just the Johnny Depp clothing. And then they were like, oh, the show's ready. Like, it's just from the first second I walked in, everything has gone extremely well.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm
news.
glad. Okay, so let's run through what Chrissy has been able to accomplish so far, and then she can give us sort of her commentary. She rope dropped, so she was at Hollywood Studios even before early theme park entry. She lined up for Rock and Roller Coaster, which is what her touring plan told her to do. That was a walk-on, 1 minute. She then went to Tower of Terror at 8:41. It was a walk-on, 1 minute.
Boom. Nice.
Then she booked it across to Toy Story Mania at 8:58, so the park still hasn't opened to any off-site guests at that point. It was a walk-on, 1 minute wait. Then she went over to Millennium Falcon. So this is a big one. The standby line was only posted at 15 minutes. There weren't really many people walking in, but she chose to do the single rider line, which is a savvy move. And she walked on. It was a 1 minute wait at 9:07. She then experienced her first real wait of the day at Alien Swirling Saucers at 9:18 and waited 6 whole minutes for that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Then we sent her over to Rise of the Resistance. So this had me like grimacing a little bit. There was a 90-minute posted wait at 9:33. I was like, oh man, here we go. And she ended up waiting 79 minutes. But even that's a little misleading because the ride was down for 24 of those minutes.
24. So, yeah.
Wow.
Had the ride not gone down, she would have had a very easy Rise of the Resistance wait. Then she grabbed a soda and some popcorn, awesome, and went to Slinky Dog Dash. It was posted at 60 minutes at 11:06. She waited 62. She got lunch at Pizza Rizzo. She did Walt Disney Presents, and then she did Runaway Railway with a 44-minute wait. So she has crushed Hollywood Studios today.
She sure has. That's fantastic. Much different experience than the last couple of days at Magic Kingdom, which is good for her.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
very nice.
She's had a rough couple of days.
Yeah,
so
we were
glad that she got really her best day ever today.
Excellent. Well, she's certainly earned that. That's
good.
Yeah. We've got somebody else in the park as well. I'm not sure where they are. I actually don't have their video feed, but someone else is trying to get on here. That's good. So those wait times sound pretty standard for the morning at the studios. Did it start to pick up later, or is there any news lately that maybe it's getting a little bit busier?
So park hopping starts at 2 p.m. Prior to that, so right before we went live, a lot of the posted waits were lower than what they were in the morning. Okay. So they're actually going down. I think Slinky Dog was posted at 40 right before we went live. Could pop back up when people park hop over. But yeah, look at Chrissy's feed there. Like, there's not that many people.
I found Leonard. I found Len.
You found Len?
Ah, look at you.
I found him by his hat.
Lynn hasn't been having as good a day as Chrissy has, so.
It's Chrissy here.
No, he even rode with me on the hurling pukey saucers. We rode that together.
Which wasn't on his plan yet.
No, nobody can hear you. Here.
No.
Here.
Working on it. Wait a minute. Here we go.
I'll take out my...
There we go. All right, yay.
There he is.
No, we can't hear you, Len, but now you're on Chrissy's camera. So we're
the one and only.
This is how we try to get on our live streams. Live look. I love it. All right, well, before we talk to Len, let's talk about Yvonne's day so far.
Okay.
Because Yvonne is the one that's going head-to-head with Chrissy. So Yvonne is the one that didn't rope drop. She didn't get to Hollywood Studios until about 11 a.m. So she did get up at 7 and bought Genie and immediately grabbed a Slinky Dog Dash return time because that's the one that sells out the quickest. So if you're buying Genie Plus at Hollywood Studios, that's a smart move. Get Slinky Dog the first.
What was her return time?
Her return time was 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Wow.
So Slinky Dog also has the most unreliable return times. They seem to cycle through, or there's cancellations. That one hops all over the place. So if you don't like where your return time and it's still right around 7, pull down and refresh and see if it changes a little bit.
Yeah.
She was not a resort guest, so she couldn't make individual Lightning Lane reservations at 7. She had to wait till the park opened at 9 to do that. So at 9 o'clock, she grabbed Rise of the Resistance. So this was right at 9 o'clock when, like, the very first point she could get it. Rise of the Resistance has been giving out things sequentially. So her return time was 5:20 to 6:20. So she grabbed Rise of the Resistance, bought it as early and quickly as she could, and still didn't get a return time till pretty late in the afternoon. So
wow.
Ick, right? So after that, she bought one for Runaway Railway. Her return time for that was much more reasonable, 12:10 to 1:10. And then she chilled at home a little bit, got to the park at 11 o'clock. At 11:04, she was eligible to make another Genie Plus because that was 120 minutes after the park opened. She grabbed Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run, which was 4:30 to 5:30 return time at that point. So she's already stacked up 4 return times and isn't even just entered the park, right? So then the savvy move for her is to go on things that have low or no waits until her return times start opening up and she's eligible to make more. So at 11:30, she went to the Frozen Sing-Along. At 12:10, she used her Lightning Lane Pass for Runaway Railway. She had a 10-minute wait. At 12:31, she went to Muppet Vision. That was an 11-minute wait. At 1:02, she went to Star Tours. That was a walk-on. And then at 1:04, she was eligible to grab another Genie Plus. So she grabbed a 250 to 350 Tower of Terror, and then went to Walt Disney Presents, which is another no-wait option.
Right.
She's going to go see Beauty and the Beast at 2, so she's probably in there now. And when she gets out of that, she'll have 4 reservations, return times that she can start using, and she'll be able to grab another one here pretty soon. So
wow, it's like the old days, the old Fast Pass days where we can get a whole midful. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for touring for sure.
It's really interesting to see. Yeah. I mean, Chrissy didn't need the Genie Plus very clearly. She got up early, she followed a strategy and a plan, and that worked for her. But Yvonne's not having a bad day either. And she has a strategy. She's not following Genie, but she is picking up the return times that she knows she should. And she's having a good day too.
Right. Wow. Great. That, I think, is Len Testa. Let's see. Get him on here. There he is. Or there's what he sees anyway. Walking around the studios. How's it going, Len? Can you hear us? We can hear him, but he can't hear us.
Right. Really hoping he says something embarrassing.
Yeah. That would be like him.
Chrissy's trying. There. I heard him.
You heard something?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So that's good. I can't figure out audio, but anyway. So I got here at 8:30 for early entry.
Okay.
And I think, Becky, what was the first thing that Genie recommended to me? Was it
Genie recommended your first step to be Toy Story Mania at 9:30.
At 9:30. So I had an hour to do nothing.
Yes. We've got a little bit of an echo between Lynn and Chrissy right now.
Yeah, I just muted that, so it should be better.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, even though it recognized Lynn was in the park at 8:30 and gave him a plan, he got to chill for an hour because today we're following exactly what Genie says. We're not working ahead.
Right.
We're doing what we think a normal human would do, which is try to fill their time until Genie actually tells them something to do. So Lynn, how did it feel to just wait around for an hour? And now I can't hear.
Yeah, he's having a hard time with audio.
Okay.
So are we.
Yeah.
We'll just watch. No, that's interesting. Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, obviously everything depends on the crowds and where the people are going and where the bottlenecks are and the timing and all of that stuff and what breaks down. This is always the game, of course, but the thing that's most interesting to me, and we've talked about this as well, is can someone make a touring plan that does better than someone else who pays for Genie Plus and even the individual Lightning Lane? That would be really interesting to see if that's possible.
Yep. So that's what we'll find out by the end of today when we compare Yvonne and Chrissy. At least one data point, right? One test of that. And it might have been a little cheating because Yvonne didn't show up until 11, but that's how a lot of people tour. So we're trying to mimic some real world conditions. We'll do some more simultaneous starts eventually. But I agree. And we'll be blogging about the full results tonight, and that'll post tomorrow morning. So you can catch up and see how the rest of their day went as well.
Yeah, it'll be good to see that in written form where you can break down exactly where everyone was going, because it's kind of hard to keep track of where everyone is and
exactly
all that stuff.
Agreed. Yeah, but I can tell you how Len was feeling when he waited until 9:30 to do anything and frittered away an hour of his time, because he was following Chrissy around and being jealous of her hopping on to all of these rides with no wait. And apparently joined her on one and cheated a little bit, but we'll give that a pass. Still touring around. Okay, so let's talk about what his day looked like, and then if he hops back on, we can ask him sort of his impressions of that. So remember, he was going in, he was following Genie, wasn't going to try to hack any of it with some of the tricks we've learned to try to make it do the things we want it to do, and he didn't give it any information. He just went in sort of blind to see what it would recommend. So it recommended he wait until 9:30 to do anything, and then go to Toy Story Mania. So he did that. He had a 20-minute wait. Really not too bad. Like, that could have been longer. Then immediately after that, and this is interesting to me, it recommended that he go to the Droid Depot and do that at 10:40. So this is the first time we've seen Genie recommend a big upsell. So for those that don't know, Droid Depot is an $100 experience where you get to build a droid, you get to bring it back with you. Really cool, but also a pretty pricey souvenir to just recommend people go make in the middle of their day, especially if they haven't told you that they're a Star Wars fan. So that was interesting. Okay, so he didn't want to do that, right? He didn't want to build the droid. So this is where we allowed him to do a swaparoo.
All right,
let's talk about a swaparoo. So he did a swaparoo, and it gave him a couple options. He could do Alien Swirling Saucers. He could go to Racing Academy, which is Lynn's favorite ride in the whole park. That's sarcasm. Or he could do Walt Disney Presents. So it told him to do Walt Disney Presents at 10:10, which he went to do. Okay. Again, that's a walk-on, walk-through. You're looking at props and etc. His next step was lunch at Ronto Roasters at 11:10. So he had some downtime. He got to spend an hour in Walt Disney Presents, and then he went to Ronto Roasters. When he got there, it was only 11:10. There was no seating, like nowhere to sit, not inside, not outside. They weren't letting them overflow into Docking Bay 7, so he ate his lunch on top of a trash can. But he said it was at least tasty. He got a veggie wrap, so there's that, right? Ronto Roasters does get pretty high reviews, so it wasn't sending him to somewhere unsatisfactory, but apparently it was sending a lot of people there pretty early in the day.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, because that hour is a little bit ahead of the normal flow of people to the lunch hour. So I would expect that actually they were using Genie Plus and following the recommendations. Even if, Genie is just dropping hints, you think, maybe, when 11:10, 11:20 comes around, you think, let's go over and get some food.
Right.
That's interesting.
Exactly.
If that works, that's a really interesting application.
Yeah, agreed. So he did that. He went and got lunch. His next step was Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run at 12:10. So he had an hour for lunch on top of a trash can. He went and got in line for Smugglers Run. I think it was posted 60 or 65. He only waited 40. So really not bad for midday Millennium Falcon either. I didn't hear which role he played or how well he did, but I assume it was enjoyable. The next thing, so originally, early on in his day, his next two steps were supposed to be Star Tours at 2 and then Rise of the Resistance at 3. We talked about when Chrissy was in line for Rise of the Resistance, it went down. When it went down, so that was early in the day, like 10 o'clock, that disappeared off of Len's plan and got replaced with Slinky Dog at 3 instead. So originally Slinky Dog wasn't on Len's plan at all. Rise of the Resistance was. So when it went down, even though it was 5 hours before he was planned to get there, it swapped it. So that was interesting. And when it went back up, it's never reappeared on his plan. So as of now, Lynn's not going to get to do Rise of the Resistance today, but he'll get to do Slinky Dog. So that flipped. Then when he got off Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run, for no apparent reason, we can't really tell, instead of Star Tours at 2, it sent him to Beauty and the Beast at 1 o'clock and removed Star Tours from his plan completely as well. And around that same time, Yvonne had a walk-on at Star Tours. So it wasn't like Star Tours was down or had a big line and they needed to shoo crowds away from it. So that one's interesting to me too.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happening there. But he went and saw Beauty and the Beast at 1 o'clock. So at 1 o'clock, he was on his fourth attraction, of the day. And if
Wow.
you know Lynn Testa, that did not make him very happy.
No. No.
Not an incredibly efficient use of a day.
I mean, it's a relaxing day, but it's not a theme park day.
Right, exactly. You've paid a lot of money to go to Hollywood Studios. So let's quickly talk through what the rest of his day looks like if it doesn't update. He's going to do Slinky Dog at 3, Alien Swirling Saucers at 4:15, Muppet Vision at 5:15, dinner at the ABC Commissary. Again, not a bad choice. It's been increasing in satisfaction recently. That's at 6. That's at 6. His next thing on his list isn't Tower of Terror until 7:35. So he has got a pretty big gap there too. And then the Wonderful World of Animation at 8:45, which is the nighttime show there in Hollywood Studios since Fantasmic hasn't reopened. So that's his day. A couple of pretty big things missing. He's not going to get to do Runaway Railway, not going to get to do Rise of the Resistance, and not going to see the Frozen sing-along if he cares about that. He opted not to see Racing Academy. But really, it's not terrible. It's a really relaxed pace. He's missing arguably 2 of the biggest headliners, but he's avoiding most of the lines too. I will be interested to see what his Slinky Dog wait is at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, that will be interesting. It's also interesting that when Rise comes back online, they don't add it back into his plan.
Yeah, my theory there is they've already sold a bunch of boarding passes for it. It sells out the quickest, right? It sold out before 9:30 today.
No doubt, yeah.
And it was down for half an hour, so it's a little bit backed up in doing those boarding passes. So they're probably just trying not to recommend people go there. It could have more downtime later today, so they're being careful. But let's talk about Morgan's plan and how it contrasts with sort of those swaps that happened to Lynn. Because she made those Star Wars preferences, and she had a pretty Star Wars day initially on her list. And so I think what happened with her list is interesting when we compare it with what happened to Lynn's. So Morgan's plan doesn't start out great. She got recommended to rope drop Walt Disney Presents at 9:10. If you have ever gone to Hollywood Studios, this is not something you rope drop. Rope drop literally anything else, because you can go and walk into Walt Disney Presents whenever you want. So that was her first step. Her second step was Toy Story Mania, and not until 10:10. So she had an hour to hang out and look at Walt Disney Presents, then went to Toy Story Mania at 10:10. So Lynn had a 20-minute wait at 9:30. Morgan had a 37-minute wait at 10:10. So it was almost double the wait because she had gone to Walt Disney Presents first. There. It also recommended lunch at Ronto Roasters to Morgan. She chose not to actually do that. We pretended that she did. She wasn't feeling Ronto Roasters today, but we'll pretend she went at 11:15, and we know Lynn was there at the same time, and we know it was packed. So we're seeing 2 for 2 Ronto Roasters recommendations. Her next step, so that was at 11:15, quick service at Ronto Roasters, was Rise of the Resistance at 12:20. So when Rise went down at 10 o'clock, it stayed on her list, unlike it disappearing from Lynn's. So this is the first time that I've seen maybe it's taking some recommendations into account, which would be good. It could just be a fluke too, but she got that. She got in line at 12:20 and it was 80 minutes posted. When she got in line, she waited 93 minutes. So it did go up. Probably partially due to that downtime earlier in the day. The wait at Rise of the Resistance is just really variable and highly dependent on downtime. Let's see. So her next step, 12:20 Rise of the Resistance. Her next step was a 3:10 Droid Depot reservation. So it's pushing that on everyone today. She opted to swap-a-roo that as well. She swapped it for Alien Swirling Saucers, which she will be doing at 3:10. So she is currently just waiting until 3:10 to do Alien Swirling Saucers. The rest of her day, Millennium Falcon Smugglers run at 3:50, dinner at Docking Bay 7 at 5:30. So that's another difference where she got the Star Wars recommendation for dinner and Lynn didn't. Muppet Vision at 6:35, Star Tours at 7:20, and Tower of Terror at 8:10, and then that would be the end of her day. So again, another really relaxed pace. It's Star Wars heavy, and when things went down, none of those Star Wars things has disappeared from her list. So it might be listening. I'm willing to give Genie the benefit of the doubt on this one, that maybe this is a case where preferences do impact something. Like when they figure out that they can't point any more people to Rise of the Resistance, they're taking it off the list of the people that haven't specifically said they want to do it. That would be smart. I hope that's what they're doing. The comparison of those two is really interesting to me today as I try to figure out all the things behind Genie and where it's sending people.
Yeah, and there's still a lot we don't know. I mean, even though we've been tracking this a lot the last couple of days, there's still lots of stuff that we don't know. We have a long list of things that we want to find out.
Right, exactly. So we'll be doing lots more tests. This is day 5 of our 5-day really heavy testing plan. Our in-parks team desperately needs and deserves a rest. So you're not going to be seeing any more of these for the next few days, but you can bet we'll be back there. You're showing Instagram now. I think it's hilarious that Sunset Boulevard is decorated for Christmas already. I went to my local Target last night to pick up some Halloween things for an event my friends and I are doing tomorrow. And it was all Christmas too. I was like, wait, what have I missed? Where are the Halloween things? Maybe I waited too long. I don't know. But Hollywood Studios is on board with Target's timeline.
That's right, yeah. Oh, thanks, Jay. Thanks for joining us. There's a couple of questions in the chat. Somebody wants to know what the crowd level is today, and I just took a look, and today we've got a 5 for the Hollywood Studios, 7 at Magic Kingdom, 3 at Epcot, and 1 at Animal Kingdom. So that 5 at Hollywood Studios is pretty much an average day. And it might come in a little bit lighter than that, actually, from what we've seen, certainly with the wait times this morning. Now, it can pick up, but it might come in a little bit under that. But Magic Kingdom has been pretty busy this week. And there's no reason to believe that that's anything to do with Genie. I mean, it might be, but things have just been up in general lately anyway. So, yeah, we're tracking that. We don't really know what the crowd level is until the day's over and we collect all of the wait times. And then in the following day, we publish what it was compared to what we predicted.
Yep.
Another question.
I would agree. Based on the wait time so far, it's not a 5. Yeah. It'll probably be a little bit lower. Park hoppers just became eligible about 30 minutes ago, so it might pick up.
Okay. Another question, which I think we've had, but let me see here. With Genie Plus, staying at a Disney resort, booking a Lightning Lane at 7 a.m. Can I book another Lightning Lane at 9 a.m. if the park I'm going to is not open yet, like Epcot? Or do I have to wait until 11?
I am going to be very clear in my language here because those individual Lightning Lane access things and the Genie Plus return times have different rules, right? So this said Lightning Lane, but I think it means Genie Plus. We'll talk Lightning Lane first. So individual Lightning Lane access, those are those special rides that you have to pay for individually. At Hollywood Studios, those are Rise of the Resistance and Runaway Railway. You can book both of those if you're a resort guest right at 7 a.m., one right after the other. You don't have to wait. You get to do both of them. If you're not a resort guest, you have to wait till the park opens. Then you can put both of them one right after the other. So that's individual Lightning Lane. Genie Plus. Genie Plus is another beast. Everyone can book their first Genie Plus at 7 a.m. I'm like trying to hold myself from going too fast to make sure I'm saying the right things.
You're good.
Everyone can book their first Genie Plus at 7 a.m. Your 120-minute timer doesn't start counting until that park opens. And it's the park associated with your park pass for that day.
Right.
So the park that you're going to be in first. So if you're in Epcot, your 120-minute timer doesn't start until 10 or 11, whenever it opens. If you're in Animal Kingdom and it opens at 8 that day, your timer starts at 8, etc. So as we've seen today, and this is going to be my off-the-cuff recommendation, we've seen that it's really easy to start picking up Genie Plus reservations and Lightning Lanes for Hollywood Studios and to stack your afternoon. You actually start that timer quicker if your first park is Animal Kingdom than if it was Hollywood Studios, because most days Animal Kingdom opens before Hollywood Studios.
That's true.
So it would be decently easy, especially because Millennium, Falcon, and Slinky Dog typically have afternoon times available the first to start your day in Animal Kingdom. Buy Genie Plus for that day. Don't actually use it at Animal Kingdom at all, unless you want to pay to skip Flight of Passage or something. But your 120-minute counter starts going at 8 a.m. when Animal Kingdom opens, so you can book your next Genie Plus by 10 a.m. and then you can book another one at 12 p.m. and you can book another one at 2 p.m. And by the time you hop to Hollywood Studios, you have a lot of Genie Plus passes to be able to skip those lines.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more and more that Animal Kingdom Hollywood Studios pair is going to become really popular if you want to make the most use out of your Genie Plus one day. So
yeah, good one.
That didn't answer the question. That's Becky's tip of the day.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
I'm going to make us test that sometime.
Jay says, how many battery chargers did you guys bring? Yeah, we have had some reports that it's Genie, and not so much Genie Plus, but Genie and the app in general is quite draining on the typical cell phone. So if you really want to rely on it all day, you're obviously going to need to have some kind of backup battery. And all of our testers have that for their long days in the park. They're also chatting with us on our, internal chats and this kind of thing. But I think that's pretty typical for anybody that's using the app. They're also going to be, when they're standing in line, they're going to be using their phone for other things. So.
You're right. Yeah. Even me at home, because I'm refreshing the tip board pretty frequently. That's where you can see all the Genie Plus return times and the standby times. Even if you haven't purchased Genie Plus, you have all that information. I refresh it pretty frequently to help our in-park testers figure out what to do next. And my battery has been going crazy. I can't imagine being in the Florida sun and having it up bright and trying to keep it alive for anything more than a few hours.
We had another question. Any benefit to booking Genie Plus weeks in advance of my trip? And then we have someone else in the chat who's answered it. Depends on whether you have a vacation package or whether if not, you can't currently book Genie Plus in advance. Right, that's true. You can't book it unless you have a vacation package.
I'll give a yes and no. My personal opinion, no. There's only downsides. If you book it really far in advance, all that's going to get you is that you're locked into buying it for every day of your vacation. And you have to have a vacation package to do that in the first place.
Right.
It's going to be very rare that you're going to need Genie Plus every day of your Disney World vacation. What it does save you is the couple of minutes before 7 o'clock when that window opens. If you're wanting to make your first Genie Plus at 7 o'clock, you either have to stay up past midnight the night before to purchase it just after midnight, or you have to wake up even earlier to make sure you purchase and it's working correctly and you've got your party linked before that you make that first Genie Plus. So buying it days and days and days, weeks in advance is going to save you 10 minutes of sleep. So that might be a welcome trade-off for some people. That's what it'll save you, is the ability to not worry about that purchase first thing in the morning when you're already getting up early to try to book that return time.
Right. Another question from Bill. The paid for Lightning Lane, and again, we're not sure if you mean you've paid for Genie Plus and you're making Lightning Lane reservations, or if you mean the individual Lightning Lane purchases. Can I select a time late in the day because we're park hopping, or is it the next available? And my understanding is that it's, if you're doing Genie Plus and just reserving Lightning Lanes, then it's the next available. But if you're purchasing those specific 2 big headliner rides that that sell the individual Lightning Lanes, then you can book anytime you want. Is that right?
Yeah. So the only asterisk is that is because he mentioned park hopping. So for our case, we'll go back to that Animal Kingdom Hollywood Studios case. If my park pass is Animal Kingdom, but I'm booking Genie Plus for Hollywood Studios, it will let you do that. And it will show you all the return times as next available. But when you click on them, it knows you can't go to Hollywood Studios early. It will push all of those times that it shows you after you click on it to 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Or next available if the next available is already past 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
So that's good. It's smart enough.
To not give you a morning morning return time.
And that's good because you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't be able to use it. So that's good.
Yep. So the only danger there is if you're doing the Animal Kingdom stacking and you get one at 7, 10, 12, and 2, and you're picking ones that haven't booked out further, you're going to have 4 passes for 2 to 3 p.m. and you're going to be hard pressed to use all of them. I have a feeling by the time you pick up all 4 of those, they're going to be more stretched out than that, but it's something to look for because you can't pick. It's whatever's next available that you're eligible for.
That's right. Yeah. Jay asks, are you using the Wi-Fi at the parks? Is it quicker? What happens to the people with limited data plan who are not on the Wi-Fi? do international travelers need to reevaluate their data plan? Well, that last part is good advice for anybody that's not a U.S. resident in the parks. You should definitely evaluate your data plan and plan to use a lot of data. I would not suggest that you rely wholeheartedly on Wi-Fi. It will not be reliable every minute of your trip. There will be lots of situations where things freeze and you want to turn off the Wi-Fi and just go with, with 5G connection. So yeah, the people in the parks now, they go back and forth all the time between using the Wi-Fi and using just a regular connection.
Yep.
And I think
that's not something we've been specifically asking our testers, so I don't know.
True.
If they've been flipping back or forth, but in general, yeah.
Okay. It's like TouringPlans is a fiduciary park planner, and Genie will give you a plan, but doesn't have your best interest in mind. It has part of your interests in mind, and it has part of Disney's interests in mind. That's kind of what we're seeing, which I think we would have expected.
Yeah. I have two metaphors for this, right? So if I have my relates to everyone metaphor, if I have a refrigerator at my house, I'm not paying the refrigerator company itself to come repair my refrigerator, because even if I trust them, they're not incentivized to fix my refrigerator. They're incentivized to sell me a new refrigerator. That's how they're going to make the most money.
Right.
That would hurt their relationship with me, but really financially, they're incentivized to sell me a new refrigerator. So I use a friendly third-party refrigerator repairman who is only incentivized to help me and build that relationship so that I have him come back again, because I think I'm going to get a better perspective there. So that's my Disney TouringPlans metaphor. Disney is the refrigerator company, and we're your friendly neighborhood repair people, because we are very incentivized to make sure that you have the best vacation possible, and spend the least amount of time in lines and least amount of money. And Disney, yes, they want you to have a good time. They don't want you blabbing to all your friends that you had a miserable vacation and no one should ever go there.
True.
But they're also incentivized to make money off of you. So it's a balance.
That's true. And just like the neighborhood third-party refrigerator repair person, they give you the kind of the inside stuff. It's like, that little extra piece that you bought for your fridge, you probably don't need that. You can go down to the Home Depot and buy one for half the price. That's kind of what TouringPlans does as well, right? Is that we're going to tell you what we do when we go to the parks to try to beat the system, right? And that's the part that Disney's never going to give you. They're never going to give you the inside, gaming type of tips that are going to help you maximize, what you see and do. So that's where I think there'll always be a market for what we're doing.
I agree. I love those friendly neighborhood repair people. That's going to be our new slogan. Your friendly neighborhood.
That's us.
Vacation.
I can see Len in a Maytag repairman outfit with the white coat and the white hat.
Yeah. That's perfect. We've got our new ad campaign. I love it.
Oh, this is a good one. Until the Lines app is updated, how do I incorporate a Genie Plus return time in my plan to optimize it?
So I believe we had some suggestions. Fred, you can go ahead and talk about it because you know more about it than I do.
Yeah, there's a few ways. You have to do it in kind of a manual way. There's a few suggestions. One would be to book a meal at the closest restaurant to where that Genie Plus attraction is. And the reason you would do that is so that we know where you are in the park in terms of your walking times. But you could also just make yourself a manual break and say, look, give me a break in this particular time. And because that's when I'm going to use my Genie Plus return time. So both of those will work. And it's just, you have to kind of fake it in a way. If you don't know how to do breaks, there's some description on the site about it, but it's basically there's different tabs for attractions, breaks, and meals. Just look for the tab for breaks and meals, and then you can set those times in there.
Good question.
Does TouringPlans advertise? This is such a great tool. This is our advertising right now. This is how we advertise. We don't really, actively pay for advertisement. We've been relying for years on word of mouth and social media campaigns, which, as you can see from our great people in the park, they're constantly on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook and other places, promoting us and showing people what we do. And then we rely on you, the users of it, to tell your friends and tell everybody that's going to the parks to check us out. So thanks.
Yep, you're our advertisers. Thank you.
Does Len's hair need to book its own lightning lane time? Yes, it does. His hair should have its own Twitter account. That's for sure. Good one. Yeah, so it's been really, really interesting week. The thing about whenever something's new at Disney, I mean, it's just very rare that we know so little about how it's going to work when it comes out. We usually have a good idea of what's going to happen. But this has definitely been an exception, and this is such a huge undertaking. I mean, they're trying to solve a really difficult problem here with this functionality, and so it's kind of fascinating that they just kind of let it loose the way it is. And not that it's terrible. I think the UI that they've come up with is really nice. It's pretty slick. It's very integrated with the app. We haven't, although we found some little quirks, we haven't found a lot of cases of the thing just, dying and the Stitch ate this app, message coming up. We haven't had much of that. So from the technical side of it, it seems to be pretty stable, which is nice.
Stitch hasn't eaten it. Yeah, that's true.
That is true. I think because we haven't had great success with the live stream links, I think maybe they're going to do some Instagram live stuff with Chrissy and Len in the parks.
Yeah. So
I don't know if we can see that
Lynn
here or not.
isn't available any longer. Lynn's actually doing the Disney Dish podcast right now with Jim Hill.
Oh, that's
so for those of you that watch that, that's what he's doing right now. Chrissy and I are going to go live on Instagram right when this wraps to talk with her, since she was having those technical issues as well. So if you have Instagram, you can hop over there and we'll hear sort of her take on her day.
Well, that's good. Well, why don't we wrap it up pretty soon then? We've gone through all of our questions. Unless somebody in the chat has more questions for us. We can go through that. And so is this the end of our testing for the week? We're going to kind of sit back. I know you're writing a blog post about what we learned today, and then next week. Is this
the end of our testing ever? No.
Is
this the end of our testing for the next few days? Yes. Yeah. We are going to take a breather and re-strategize what we need to test now. So now's a great time to respond to some of those blog posts, tag us on Twitter with questions you have that you think we should test, and then we'll communicate more about what we're testing in the coming days and weeks.
Yeah, definitely check out Becky's blog and follow Chrissy and the other members of the team on Instagram. They've got some great stuff on there. So cool. Well, thanks so much again, Becky. Fred. I mean, I know we're raving about all the people in the parks, but you're doing amazing work too, organizing all of this and keeping track of where everybody is and what they're doing. So congrats to you.
It's a lot of fun. It's my mom skills coming. I have to keep track of all the people and where they are. So it's good.
And I think we made Brian do a live stream on his anniversary this week as well. I meant to mention that to him. So kudos to his wife for letting him come on and spending an hour with us chatting when he should have been with her. So anyway, okay, thanks guys. Hop over to Instagram if you want to see Becky and Chrissy with some more content. Len will probably hop in there too. And he's got, like Becky mentioned, he's doing his podcast over there. So thanks for this, and we'll see you on the next time.
All right. Thanks all.
Okay. Bye, everybody.